Yeah, sure.
It's a way of learning together.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Even
anything
we have also a representative from Russia, no?
yes, Irina or Irina.
Yeah,
Irina, how do you pronounce your name?
In Russian, I'm called Irina, but Irina, okay, so it's
okay.
Yeah,
we can choose.
have you listened, Arena, the discussion in between me and Patricia?
sorry, could you repeat that again, please?
Had you listened the conversation in between me and Patricia?
Yeah, I've been listening.
Yeah. And I really also want to learn more from you. So again, I need your email ID so that I'll take the perspective, you're thinking, what you are thinking regarding that situations.
Okay.
Which can
Anyway,
help.
how is your name pronounced, Mr. Yashas? How is your name?
Shailesh Shirsat.
Shailesh. Okay.
Shailesh.
Can I call you by your first name?
Yeah.
Okay, Shailesh. Well, anything I can help, in any way I can help you, let me know, of course, because at the moment, thanks to the pandemic crisis, we are connected internationally and we are helping one another. So if you think that I may be helpful in any way, let me know, of course, that I'm willing to help you because you are doing great work. And I think that we need each other, but sometimes each country has particular problems which do not allow them to be working globally. We are having education problems in my country. So it's imagine internally we are having problems, so it is rather impossible to be connected with the world because we cannot share. The group of innovators, of course, I'm part of the groups of innovators here in Argentina, but the number is not so great. And we are trying hard to change education because it is still very traditional in my country. So we are spreading the word that there are other ways. Anyway, there are many institutions. This started 2 years ago. They started using active methodologies. I have been delivering lectures, workshops, and congresses here in my country, which were devoted to explaining how important it was to start changing the viewpoint, the teaching viewpoint, and start using active methodologies. Well, they have been implemented for 2 years, but what happened? This pandemic crisis has caused a complete mess in education because we don't know if the institution, those institutions who started working active methodologies are still working on it, because we are not working together. Each institution is busy working and trying to give the best to their students. So there is no communication with all the institutions that belong to the same city or the same country. With the same countries is even worse. The connection is even worse. But anyway, there are here cases in which teachers are already working using innovative techniques. For example, at the teacher training college, I teach training students, and the students, as they are adults, they have the possibility of having traditional teachers and innovative teachers. The thing is that the idea is to change the main educational thoughts of teacher training colleges, because we want our students to become innovative teachers, because otherwise they will be repeating the traditional models they used when they were young.
Yeah,
so this is
transformation is the need of the time.
Of course, you're right. Wise words. It's the need of the time, exact words. But you know that many teachers still remain in the comfort zone. They prefer to remain there because everything is arranged, everything is structured. So they feel more comfortable. But I think that when we step outside the comfort zone, we have challenges. And in this way, we are learning to be better teachers. And at the same time, we are improving our students' learning. It works like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. So I'm glad that here all the teachers that are getting together every time we have this type of session, all of us are innovative teachers, and it is very enriching because we can exchange ideas and become better teachers. And that's great. So I'm glad that I have met you. The same to you, Irina and Laila.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks to especially the Bangladesh chapter started by Honorable Ma'am.
Yes.
She's joined there, no?
Yes. Hi,
Yes.
Mamas.
Hello. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
Okay. Fine. Hopefully, our new guest, Irina, from Russia. How are you?
Yeah.
Fine, thank you.
Welcome to Bangladesh chapter from Bangladesh. Thank you, everybody. Busha has joined. Laila, Shailesh, Busha, how are you?
Busha, hi. Nice to see you.
Unmuted from Bushanis. Unmuted. Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you so very much. I received Mamta's message and I was driving back. These days we are. Okay. So you are about to finish?
Yes. No.
Okay.
No, we're about to start. The session, you mean?
Just start. Okay, we will feel like members of the same family. Do not need to be identified. Okay? Separately. Let's get started anyway. Nice to meet you all and grateful to be with me. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone in today's 9th episode. Today is Bangladesh Roundtable Session, 9th episode of the Roundtable Session organized by We Bangladesh chapter. Welcome back to this program. Reflective teaching has been set as the topic of discussions in today's event, like every week, as well as our eminent teachers from home and abroad. At present with us today, we're starting the program first. I want to say something on today's topic. Now listen to the discussion of our negotiators. Okay. I think that reflective teaching is a process by which teachers reflect on their teaching practice to the test the overall effectiveness of their teaching methods. Depending on the outcome of this analytical process, and teaching methods may need to be improved or modified based on critical reflection. In the other words, reflective teaching can be interpreted differently. Reflective teaching is a process whereby teachers reflect on their teaching practice in order to examine the overall effectiveness of their instructive approach. Improvement or change in teaching methods may be required depending on the outcome of this analytical process, which is based on critical reflection. In this, if this is what reflexive teaching means, then my question is, why is this reflective teaching more important? Please, Busha.
Okay.
It's my turn.
I'm always ready. And, just to share with you all that these days, Pakistan is in the process of, revamping the whole curriculum. And we are calling it SNC, the Single National Curriculum. And personally, as a mother, as a Pakistani, as an individual, I am really liking this notion because it's been 27 years in the education sector. And I have seen dramatic things happening in my country and of course across the globe as well. That for instance, in my country, there are religious schools, there are public schools, there are private schools. So though we do have one curriculum, but everyone feels that the books, fancy books they are using, this is basically the syllabus and the curriculum. So such sort of practices they are happening. And once I was, invited by the government sector that I am involved in the single national curriculum. So I was so happy and welcoming that I must see that what's actually happening. And this, my angel fellow Mumtaz, I was driving back and she called me, Bushra, would you be available in the session? I said, what is it about? She said, about reflective teaching. I said, very well, because today I have just discussed the same things in the today's session as well. It's a long procedure, but it's really effective, and it is based on reflective teaching practices. As far as educator with this much experience in my own capacity is concerned, I have tried to become always a reflective practitioner, because I follow this notion a lot of Hazrat Ali. This is a saying. It says that don't force your children to behave like you, because they are born in the time that is different from your time. So how can I teach the 21st century child with my 20th century's practices through 19th century syllabus? So this is really difficult.
Yes.
So like the today's child has to be taught in the way that that is acceptable to him, and in which he can practice and learn and produce to his best extent. And how do I know that? When I know that I have addressed every need of every child in the class. Though as a human being, this is not at all possible, but at least I can give it a try. Which as a principal, I would say, how do I inculcate in my teacher? I ask them that they should have, every teacher has a backpack and she knows what she is capable of. But as a leader, I know what I can produce best out of that teacher. So what I do, I put the right teacher to the right job. I know she is very good at, speaking capacity. So I ask her, whatever you do, you please share it with all the other teachers. You are very good at writing. You teach everyone writing. You are good at arts. You teach everyone arts, etc. Back to the point, why we are doing this? Because we want that we need to give the best to our child who is sitting here, because after 10 years the world is not going to be the same as today for him. So he needs to be prepared accordingly. And as like Mumtaz's question is concerned, that why reflective teaching is important and how do I know that I am practicing this? When I address every individual's child, because even we are 5-6 people sitting here, we are given one topic, so everyone would not be wrong about anything, because we are giving answers in our own practice, in our own culture, in our own learning. But everyone will be using different words. So teacher has to be more equipped with the, first of all, on the planning side, that she needs to she needs to analyze the needs of every child in the class. And once today one of the colleagues, he said, and I would like to quote that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So it clicked my mind. Yes, once you are prepared with the plan, you have 30 students in the class. Not all of them, they are of the same capacity, and you highlight their areas of development and you address those. And if you achieve even 10% of that addressed area, that means you are a reflective practitioner. Not all the children are good at writing. Not all the children, they are good at asking questions, etc. But how can you develop every student ask a question in the class? By giving them confidence. Because I know even I used to be very shy in my class asking questions, because my teacher used to stop me. At the moment we used to raise hand, just put your hands down. Did I ask you to ask the question? We are grown up in some certain classrooms. So we the Asian people are like that basically. And we were basically under the teacher-centered learning. So reflective practices, they do best in the classes where the child-centered and inquiry-based learning is on. This is what I feel. And most importantly, in current days, why there is a need to do this? Because as I've just said, if I'm addressing everyone's need, because for instance, I'm just going to give the example. It's not to deliver about anymore, because we are the generation where we were poured in with the knowledge. Now the knowledge is at a click away. Even my 6 years old granddaughter, she can click and she can give order to Google, and she takes so many instructions back. So knowledge is very much there, even her 6-year child's old hand. What best, we need to channelize that influx of information to that child. And channelizing those with the required needs, of course, gives you a reflection of what you really want to deliver. And coming back to the micro, level, in the classroom, if the needs of all the children, they are addressed appropriately by planning appropriately, because not all the plans they fit best, not all the keys they are not all the locks they are open with one key. So we need to have different keys to open different locks. And in the same way, this is again one of my favorite dialogue, or you may say statement, that we need to prepare a buffet dinner for the children, not the one dish for all of them. So different dishes would do a lot. And honestly, I have applied it, I have practiced it, and I have seen marked difference in the students' performance. And marked difference for me is, for instance, a child is not asking me question, but after 2 3 weeks, if I give him or her the confidence that yes, you have done good, yes, you can do this, so after 2 weeks she has started asking 2 questions in one class. So this is a great achievement for me. So that means at one place nothing was being asked, but now 2 questions are there. So even there are the wrong questions, but I'll give her a positive feedback, a constructive feedback. Yes, this is good, but you can do more. So I am sure that child would be able to ask 3 4 more questions as well. And I have seen that that little girl growing a lot, that now she even responds to other students questions as well. No, this is not the relevant question related to this topic. So that made me feel so wow. So this is reflection of my strategy that I applied. So this was just a little example. So current days time, reflective practices, they are the need of the hour, honestly, because gone are the days when this was the chalk and talk sort of teaching, still on in many parts of my country. But this single national curriculum, what we are practicing and trying to implement, would probably eliminate such culture. And why we are resistant to such practices? Because we are not knowing those. uh, the things we resist basically are the things that are not in our knowledge. But once we know them, we really love and practice them. So first of all, the suggestion was given to them that they need to inform everyone at the same level. If me, you, Mantaz, everyone is informed at the same level, so at least they will be able to try a little out of their own practice. If I'm not informed, I'll resist that practice. So change has to be taking place. Change has already taken place. Reflective practices are the need of the hour. They need to be implemented. And I have to start from me. And of course, all of us will be doing it in the flux. So sorry I have taken much of time, but I think I have delivered what I wanted. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Busha Anis, for your insightful and elaborately discussion. Thanks to again. In this stage, I would like to our new guest, Irina. Please unmute your microphone. First of all, introduce yourself, since you are new guest of our program. And I have raised questions. How do you become a reflective teacher?
Well, yeah, my name is Irene, or Irina in Russian, and I'm a teacher of English as a foreign language here.
Yes.
I live in the central part of my country. It's right in the middle between, between the Moscow and the Japan. I've been teaching for more than 20 years already. I'm also a leading teacher of our school. And, you know, on one hand, I teach the students, yeah, and on the other hand, I try to give some guidance to their teachers, you know, or especially young teachers, how to work. And as to your question, how I have become a reflective teacher, well, I mean, it was through years when I just started working, and I also was, you know, educated as a teacher in a traditional way, you know, and I always was looking for some changes to make my students to be more motivated to learn my subject. And of course, I started with planning, you know, and I think that that was the key word in the previous discussion. And now, so before you start something, we should plan what we do, and after we finish that, we always it's the best way to think what have been done. And it's the end of the school year now, and it's, in fact, it's our last week. This is our last week, our school week. And on next Monday, we are going to have a meeting with the teachers, and we are going to reflect on what have been done during this year. And, you know, I mean, my interest in the topic is mostly connected with techniques and with methods which maybe you can share of how to organize the work with the teachers as well as the students. I mean, to enrich the students, to motivate the teachers as well. Well, yeah.
Thank you,
yeah, that's it.
for your.
And that's my goal of being present here.
Thank you, Irina, for your sharing your idea about our topics. Thanks to again. Just have joined Shagorika.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you? Yes.
Good evening. You are late coming.
Hello,
Shagorika, you
Bushra.
are late coming.
Hello, Patricia. Nice to see you.
In this
Nice
stage,
to
I
see
would
you
like
too.
to request Talukdar sir. Are you there? Talukdar sir, Shamsuddin.
Yes. I am here. I am listening you.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sir, you know that about today's our topics, reflective teaching. In this stage, I would like to request what aspects should be considered when reflecting on our teaching, as you just as a teacher's trainer. Please describe, sir, briefly.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. So really, this is a great pleasure. Everyone is almost known to me, and everyone is with a very lovely face and smiling. That's make me give me great pleasure. In this pandemic situation, still now we are talking about our children. Allah, who I want to say to Allah that you are really great. Still now you are giving us chance to talk about your creature and how we have to make your creature more active, more knowledgeable. Thank you, Allah. Now I would like to say that the topic is very important. Almost what's the topic we have chosen, those are really pointing the students, but today's topic is pointing teachers. That's one important thing, reflection. When I'm trying to going out from the home, I have to just stand in front of mirror to watch my faces. How should I look? And what's my style of hair? Whether I'm looking beautiful or not. And
Just a funny thing. How do you look? You look like an old man now.
That's okay.
So
That's
sorry.
okay. Never mind.
It
It's
was
okay.
just
It's okay.
kidding.
Never mind.
So do I, a Buddhi
It's okay.
lady.
That's the nature.
So sorry.
That's nice, because naturally everyone should come in
Yeah.
this condition. As I never use any color in my hair, it's a very natural thing. You know, if we use any chemical, then it will really rushing my skin, and ultimately I will feel uneasy. So where's the natural? Should we go in that way? That's very good. Still now you are talking with me, though I am a Buddha. Never mind.
You're a smart Buddha boy.
Okay, that's really very good fun, and that's the spirit of our discussion. We are making fun and other things. Thank you very much. So really, I would like to say that reflection is very important. As you are reflecting in your mind, you are looking, I am a Buddha, but you are thinking I am a young. That's very good. So looking and thinking, both are very important for a teacher. How you are reflecting yourself and
Agreed.
how you are thinking.
Agreed.
How you are
Agreed.
thinking.
So right.
Okay. So why we need reflection? It's very important. We can just divide it into some points. As a human being, I should reflect by myself. What is my task or what should I do? As a professional, I will think, what are the leakages that I have? So I have to overcome those sort of leakages. And I have to think why I am different than others. Why other people are doing very good in their job? Why I fail to do it? And as a teacher, if I am inside the classroom, then I have to start to think, why the children are not listening to me? Why they are not feel free with me? Why other teachers are very good to them? What is the defect of mine? In this way, if I just analyze the thing, then I will get some idea. For this, I need some scientific procedure to reflect by myself. Still now, this is very important because you know, all the people, those who are a great men, they always wrote their diaries and notes. That's why we know their life history. And this is really very great thing. Otherwise, we cannot know how they really worked for us. In that way, as I am a teacher, if I have a note, then other teacher will follow me, maybe when I will be not here. But if I have no record to understand what I did. Now in a classroom, if you want to reflect yourself, you have to make some question by yourself. Oh, is the class is wonderful? Is the class is pleasure to everyone? Is the student enjoyed my class? Am I able to fulfill the objectives of my class? Is my principal or my colleagues are happy with me? How far I advance with my curriculum? How should I relate my teaching with SDG goals and other factors for the 21st century? So then I will start to write down my thinking. So it might be in a two ways. One, what should I need to develop? And what are the good things with me? And then I will make some note. How should I do it? If I wrote everything in every day, after a week or after a month, I will get a very good scenario how I am passing on. Or in other words, I will get a very good roadmap. So where the road is not smooth, so I have to try to repair that sides. So in order to do that, then I will have to be a self-reflector as well as a self-learner. So I will start to talk with other people like you, my colleagues. Then I will have to understand a lot of things. Right now, I'm understanding from the people like you how your school is going on in pandemic situation, how you are going to help your students, how the procedure in normal life you are going to apply, how the situation will be changed in future. So I will make my plan in that way. How should I take my class in future and what should I have to address? This is very important. So reflection is not only from my notebook, but my basic reflection will be happen in the face of my student. If the student feel pleasure, they will come to me, they will ask me the question, they will frequently ask me the question to fulfill their curiosity. If the children will not come to me, then I will think, oh, they are not really liking me. As I am a teacher, they're just coming to the classroom as a mechanical process. So we have to come out from the mechanical process. We should be a human being to change their emotional and social learning pattern. I know Shagurika is also working with that for a long time, and she knows better than me, and I think she will tell better than me how to reflect by oneself to echo with the ideas of the children. And here, Patricia, she is very powerful teacher who thought ins and out of everything. Whatever I know, she is sometimes giving some posts from where we are getting some new ideas how to treat our children. And at the same time, Bushra also mentioned in Pakistan what really she is doing, and she got chance to work with the curriculum writings. And I think she had some bitter and sweet experience from that platform, because this is very critical. Everybody is not thinking in the same way, and sometimes to set a goal and to go up to that goal is very difficult, as because like Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, the country is not homogeneous in terms of your wealth or in terms of your knowledge. So this is really very hard to make one proper curriculum. And one curriculum is not enough for the every children. We have to divide the reason, and then after we have to write the curriculum. So it will be better for the children, and they will get their livelihood from that curriculum. If we make one curriculum to be an engineer, then it will really very wrong ideas. Whenever we'll give them a general ideas, how to overcome and how to solve the problem, thereby they will able to get some livelihood. Otherwise, like Bangladesh, many children will come out without any job. Even they will not be able to create their own job. Now, this is our really very challenging job. In that case, a teacher had to take a lot of responsibilities. Whenever he will start to reflect by himself, he will do out of the syllabus some work which might be called as a co-curriculum activity, which will adjust the children to come out with some new ideas.
It disappeared.
Maybe he's out of net, probably.
Probably, yes.
Probably bad network.
Internet connections, yes.
Internet
Technology
connection.
sometimes does not behave well.
It needs to reflect. We need to reflect now on this.
Yes, so
After one-
yes,
after one
that's the
minute-
problem that we are having at the moment in these online classes. Yes,
After
you're
1
right.
minute, we will rejoin. After 1 minute,
yes.
we will rejoin. Just
We are leaving and we are coming back. Yes, we have 1 minute left.
just noticed. Patricia, you please continue. What are the benefits of being a reflective teacher?
All right. Okay, after a minute I will.
Let's log in again and then you start. Don't start now.
Yeah, I can start now.
Yes.
All right,
No,
but
no,
I
no, let's log in again. Let's log in again.
okay, yes.
Let's
I think
leave,
it's
come
better.
back again so that uninterrupted you can start then, you know.
All right, that's great. Yes. So as not to be interrupted.
Yeah.
We are waiting for the minute to be finished.
No, we can just leave. We can just
Minute.
leave. Yeah.
Oh, we can leave, yes.
We have a minute to win. Yeah.
Hello. Assalamualaikum. Hello. Assalamualaikum. क्या बोल रहे हो? Patricia, you can start now.
All right, okay. Well, once John Dewey said, we do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience. And this is very important because when we reflect on our practices, I think that it is part of our identity. We cannot teach without reflecting. And besides, it is a key component of continued professional development. Reflecting on our practices means reflecting on what we do in our classes. In this way, we are able to transform what we are doing in order to suit the needs of the students. And besides, when we reflect on our teaching, we become more skilled teachers, we become better teachers. The idea is that when we reflect, we are trying to find the best ways of helping our students learn better, because reflecting on our practices is closely connected with our students' achievement and their learning. Why are we reflecting on our teaching? Because we want the best for our students. So when we are reflecting, we are thinking on our students. We are thinking about them. So the thing is that this reflection shouldn't be done in isolation. It is important to encourage group reflection. Why? Because when we reflect together, we have the opportunity to share our own practices with others, and in this way we exchange information, we exchange different styles, and we learn all together. The same happens when we get together in this type of roundtable discussions. We are sharing our experiences, and it is an enriching experience, because then when we go back to our classes, we remember what we said here in these different sessions, and we can start implementing what you are doing in your own schools. Now, I think that the element of reflecting on our practices is metacognition. Metacognition is something that is not as present as it should be. And it is our responsibility to use metacognition in our reflections. And also, at the same time, we should encourage our students to reflect on their own learning, because we are a good examples, as usual, in front of them. But when we think about our teaching, we are, as I said before, we are also thinking about their learning. And when we are analyzing and evaluating our own practicing, we are paying attention to our weaknesses and our strengths. Why? Because we are trying to transform and to adapt our teaching to their needs. For this reason, it is very important to consider didactic transposition. The idea is that we should think, we should take into consideration the student's brain. That is to say, if we teach, taking into consideration our own way of reasoning, we will never reach our students. That's why when we think about their brains, our information or our explanations should be organized in such a way that it will be understandable to them. For this reason, when we get together and this type of reflections are encouraged in schools, the staff get together, and remember that we are sharing groups of students, so it is important to reflect together. Because in many cases, although we are having the same group of students, we are not aware of certain pieces of information that other teachers are having. That's why it is important to discuss all that. Haiti once said that a high percentage of what is happening in the classroom cannot be grasped. Why? Because sometimes we are so concentrated on what we are doing, what we forget, or we cannot pay attention to what is going on around us, what is happening in the classroom. And something very important also is that when we are reflecting, about our practices, we need to take into considerations our emotions in the classroom, because remember that we need to create a special atmosphere which invites the students to learn. So without this atmosphere, when we started reflecting, well, something is missing. Why do you think that? Probably when we get together, say, well, I think that I cannot waste my time devoting sometimes to organizing the class and start implementing emotion. What's the use? I need to finish a content. Well, a content won't be learned if we do not create this special atmosphere. So this should be part of our reflection, because when our students feel well, we are feeling well too, because we know that what we are going to do in the classroom will be effective. So when we are effective teachers, we are able to get effective learners. So I think that, as usual, the process of learning and the process of teaching form a binomial, and they cannot be separated, because when we are reflecting on our teaching, we are reflecting on their learning. And reflective teachers are always helping their students to improve their learning. And in this way, they become successful learners. So I think that the main purpose of this reflection that is not as present as it should be, mind you, because normally we haven't got the necessary time to get together because we are busy or because we need to work in other schools. But I think that special time should be devoted to discussing what we do in the classroom, because it is a way of enriching. The more present it is among us, the better for us, because this will help us to improve our teaching. Well, I would like to listen to you, because I think that we share most of the information I have mentioned in the same way what Bashra has said, Shamsuddin have said too. So I think that we could observe or watch this reflexive teaching from another aspect. For example, what do we need to take into account when we have this type of reflective activity? First of all, we need to collect data. How do we collect data? Well, we can have peer observation. Peer observation, at least in my country, is not as common as it should be. Then you will tell me if it is common in your countries. We may ask one of our colleagues to observe our classes and then get together and discuss what I have done, and to be critical, because I need to improve my teaching. And if my colleague may observe something that I'm doing in an incorrect way, well, I would be very thankful, because she's helping me to improve my teaching. So this is one way. Another way may be keeping a journal. So after the class, this is what I normally do after the class, and this can be done, of course, individually. Say, well, did my students really grasp what I wanted to teach them? Today, my students did not feel so engaged in the way I thought they would. So something must have happened. So I started reflecting on that. So probably a different type of activity or a different focus should be implemented. And this can be done in isolation. And then after that, I can share this with my colleagues, because as I said before, especially when we share the same group of students. Another important activity we can do is to video our lessons. Or to record our voices. And then we can get together and discuss about what we have done in class. Sometimes it is impossible to video our classes, so we can use any recorded class that may be taken from the net, and teachers get together, or the staff of a school get together, and we start discussing about that. And it is also very enriching, because although it is a teacher, we don't know, well, there are many points of contact when we are teaching groups of students. So we can get a lot of information. And we should remember that when we are reflective teachers, at the same time, we tend to make our classroom a laboratory. where the students are experimenting with contents, with knowledge, but we are also experimenting because we are observing our students at the same time, the way they are working, and at the same time, the way they have internalized the information I have given them. So from that type of classroom we have created, being a laboratory, there we can get lots of information. Remember that every class is a very rich source of information. We can learn a lot from our students, but important thing is to reflect on that information we have collected with other colleagues. I think that if we work cooperatively and collaboratively, we'll be able to improve our teaching altogether. That's I think that is the main aim. Have you listened to me?
Yeah, well said.
Ah.
Very well said.
Okay, because I thought that there is no answer.
Yes.
I think that our next aim then is to try to make these reflective sessions more frequently in our schools. Thank you.
To make us all spellbound, so everyone is just listening you with very attentively. That's why you are not getting any response. Anyway, you said well.
Okay, well, thank you for listening.
A lot of areas. Yes, you did cover a lot of areas.
Yes. You watch videos, this is what you said? Or we need to watch?
No, I said you covered a lot of areas.
Ah, a lot of ideas. Yes.
In our teachers training college, we actually doing this practice. We are recording our students' class, and we have to allow them to watch and make some criticism. But we don't allow them. But we don't allow them to take it outside of the college, because that's a question of their personal issues, permission, and other things. So we are very careful that the video should not go outside the college. After using this, we have to preserve it very carefully. If needed, we just deleted it. Because when the trainee teacher will start to do this practice, maybe whenever it will go out, other people will criticize badly. So we don't allow them to take it outside of the college. And at the same time, they have to submit the notebook after having their practice teaching. So what the peer teacher is telling about them, we are getting from that diary. Even our teachers are going to visit their classes, they also write down some key points in their diary. When they are coming back after 2 weeks, the teacher are sitting with the group, and they are just getting the points and try to make them aware how they will change their mood of teaching and other things. These are happening in training level, but unfortunately, when they are going to the field level, this is not happening frequently. Even the school teacher and principal are not giving too much emphasis on that. That's another big problem, because we need a database. We need if there is no database, at least we need one sort of form where we have to mention some point. Depending on that point, head teacher or the supervisor teacher should put some tick mark or a simple comments. These are very important. Even this is possible, you just fill up one form and take a photograph and send it to the principal office. Then they will just judge it when we have no internet connection or other things. It might be doing this way. And this is really very good thing. Without reflection, nobody can change their mindset. This is obviously true. Even in my homework, whenever I am just going to repair something, after repairing, I am watching where is the problem, how it will work. Then I have to reflect it by myself. So I can repair the things properly after that. Even reflection indicate a lot of areas like parents, like administrator, like teacher, like environment, like world body, like the decision making by the world body, and creative ideas should be generated from that. In a conference or in a seminar, a teacher might be present his idea with some logical point. How should we change our things? For example, right now, in every school, children are not getting opportunity to do hands-on activities, especially in third ward, because the classroom size is very over. So we have to do some sort of action research. How should we have to solve the problem? So unfortunately, action research is not taking place in every school. And this is very important. Your self-reflection diary will give some point in what issues we shall do the action research. Then school or the institution can take a central decision. We have to do action research on this and this and this. That will be a good way, I think so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patricia and Talukdar sir. In this stage, I would like to Sagarika.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question. What is reflective teaching strategy?
Yeah, wonderful. Good. Good evening, everyone. And I'm happy to be on this platform once again. Thank you, Mumtaz ma'am, for having me over here. And it was good listening to Patricia, whatever she had to say, very, very valid points made. Shamsuddin sir, as usual, with all his experience throughout various countries, that he reflects, in every meeting, he reflects on whatever is being said with his experience. And that is really very appreciable, because that is we get a global perspective with his talks. Always it's a global perspective. And I missed hearing Bushra. I missed hearing Irina. I will hear the recording and I'll get the details from you. Now, coming to the strategies of reflective learning in classroom, Patricia has already spoken about a lot of reflective learning strategies for teachers, but in the class, what we do as reflective learning is that we have mind maps. What happens is that children, their grasping knowledge is very low. Currently, this generation, especially this generation, our generation, we could still, read books of hundreds of pages. This generation can't even read a book of maybe 200 pages. It is so cumbersome. It is so cumbersome for them. So we need to understand that when we give them textbooks, textbooks are what? Textbooks are to reflect upon, because the concept you are teaching it in the class already. The child has to go home, flip through the pages of the textbook, read the textbook, so that the child can reflect whatever the child has learned in the class. Active learning in the classroom, it has been active learning. Now, whatever that active learning has been taken, whatever the child has grasped, has to come home, flip the pages of the textbook and understand and correlate, but that is not happening. And especially during pandemic, that is really not happening. So what we have done is, how did we strategize, is that we created mind maps. When we created mind maps, our mind maps are open. They all have open-ended. They're all open-ended. Like, for example, when we teach, say, suppose types of forest, okay, types of forest in grade 8, we have deciduous forest. I mean, the various kinds of forests that we have, we list them down, okay. And the textbook has the information. The child has the textbook. The textbook has the information. Now we give them the mind map, whatever we've taught them in the class. We say, now you'll go home and you will complete this mind map. So automatically the child is reflecting on whatever has been told in the class, looking into the textbook. So it's like an open book revision, open book review, open book reflection. And the child takes that and puts on what is a deciduous forest, puts down the information, the definition of a deciduous forest with the example of where are deciduous forests available in the globe. And then the child goes into the temperate zone, Mediterranean forest, okay? Looks into the textbooks. What are Mediterranean forest? Oh yeah, my teacher told me this. Reflects into that, takes the information from here and puts it over there, So these are open-ended questionnaires or open-ended mind maps, because mind map works wonders for children. It is a graphic organizer. Just at one go, the child just has to see it and tuck, all the information is just given in a very crisp fashion. And they say, visual imagery is very important in learning. Visual imagery aids 70% of learning, the rest comes from your auditory and your sensory learning. So the 70% that comes from visual learning can be done through these mind maps. So you're reflecting also. That is one method. Second strategy that we use, we use a question. I mean, after every collaborative activity, when we have collaborative learning and cooperative learning, when we bring students in a group to learn together, after they learn together, there are various strategies. Then you give them, it is think, pair, share. Think, pair, share is a very beautiful strategy. First, the team is sitting together. They think on the topic given to them. Then they share they pair their views. You pair them, you pair the children, they pair their views, and then they share the views. And when they share the views is nothing but you are reflecting. So the think, pair, share is a very beautiful strategy where you reflect on whatever is being learned. It can be used as a revision strategy also. Yeah. Then the next is your higher order questions. Normally in the classroom, we do our lower order, the Bloom's taxonomy. You have the Bloom's taxonomy. You do the knowledge, questions, the knowledge based, the knowledge and understanding questions, you do it, But the open-ended and the higher order, the HOTS, that is what you call HOTS, is nothing but higher order thinking skill questions. So what is HOTS? What is HOTS? Higher order thinking skill question in Bloom's taxonomy in the pyramid is nothing but reflection, where the child reflects, and the child reflects to use the same knowledge that was taught in a different situation. Otherwise, what is education and what is the point of learning? Education is all about whatever knowledge is given, you should be able to transfer that knowledge in a new situation. So when you are able to transfer the knowledge in a new situation, that's it. That is reflection. So HOTS. So in every question, I mean, we leave the children with lower order questions. That is your knowledge based and understanding question. But for homework, we give them reflection so that it's a revision technique. They can reflect on it. So this is another method of doing it. Okay. And then another method of doing it, how we do it, that after a week, after we are done with everything, if you want to do after a week, we come back, we give them an open book test. Open book test is also reflecting, because unless the child doesn't know which knowledge is where can I find it, the child will not be able to even be successful in an open book. We feel that open book, oh, the child has an open book and can copy and will get good marks. Sorry, we've highly mistaken. Open book is also reflective. The child reflects on so much of knowledge that is given in the textbook, has to scan through all the knowledge, pick up the right knowledge and put it in the answer. So that is nothing but reflective. Unless the concepts aren't clear, how will the child pick up the knowledge through open books also? So this is another technique. Open book technique is also another way of reflecting. And then reflecting, another way that we do through peer learning. Peer learning of reflection is that when you have a discussion in a group, every child has to put up one point, one concept, okay, of that particular chapter. Every child will put up one concept, and at the end of it, or maybe the next day, I ask, say, suppose, Patricia, can you please tell me what was the concept yesterday spoken by Bushra? I asked Bushra, can you please tell me what was the concept spoken by Irina? Irina, can you please reflect and tell me what was the concept brought about by Shamsuddin sir? So automatically that is also testing your intelligence, your reflection, your auditory skills, your knowledge, your comprehension, your understanding, everything of Bloom's taxonomy is totally taken care of through that particular strategy, So today I've listed out 5 strategies for you all, but then there are many more strategies. I wouldn't want to take too much of time. I want to listen to others also. But yes, given another chance, I could surely speak a lot on reflective teaching and learning process, because reflecting teaching and learning process is indeed a very simple, but there can be a lot of creativity in that. You can use metacognition techniques in that, as spoken by Patricia, and actually you can take it to a very different level. But of course it has to be age appropriate. And also, one size doesn't fit all. We need to realize that one size doesn't fit all. So we can't have it tailor. So we need to have it tailor-made for every class. Everything has to be tailor-made so that it fits that particular class, that particular age group, and then we can take learning. So learning can be really, you can create an impression with the learning in the child's mind through reflective teaching. It is that strong. That's it. Yeah.
Excellent. And I want to add something, if you let me, Masma. When we make our students reflect on their own learning, they gain autonomy. And one
Yes,
of
yes,
our
yes.
ultimate aims is to help them become autonomous so that they will be able.
Self-motivated learners. They start becoming self-motivated learners, you know.
Yes,
become
yes,
go-getters.
lifelong learners.
Lifelong learners.
Yes,
Yes,
of course. So I think if you let me, Madma, this topic, so reflexive learning, deserves a special session because it is so so valuable. Yes, very, very, because we could go on speaking for ages about this. But of course, today the topic is reflective teaching. But I think that another session using this topic, I think it would be great.
Reflective teaching and learning both go hand in hand.
Both have to go hand they go together.
Yes. Both have to go hand in hand. So that
yes, because both of them are connected. As I said, they form a binomial and they cannot be separated. One depends on the other.
You can't raise them single.
Yeah. Here, congratulations.
Here, thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Sagarika. Here you can see that Taik Laila. Taik Laila, it's Mubarak.
Laila from Morocco. Welcome.
Laila. In this stage, I would like to request Laila Jacob, please unmute your microphone.
Laila, yes.
Laila Jacob, please unmute your microphone, please. I have a question.
Good evening to one and all.
Laila, just
yes, I am speaking
what are
from
the
India.
characteristics of reflective teaching? What are the characteristics of reflective teaching?
Where are you from, Laila Jacob?
Right.
Hello, everybody. You don't remember me. Well, most of the time I join you. I'm from Morocco. I'm an English teacher and English club and activities of students, parallel activity, maybe if you got that notion, coordinator in a school, which means we focus more now on not on teaching, but things in a parallel of teaching, which means some activities that makes improves other skills like life skills and other skills. Now I focus on these things are also very important in beside that goes side and side with the reflective teaching. Of course, I have something to say about reflective teaching, which means I think there are maybe kind of some questions we should, as teachers, ask ourselves about them. We reflect. The reflection starts with the oneself, which means I ask what I am doing. About the teaching, the topic I am teaching, the thing I'm doing, am I doing it right? So there are many questions I find very important, like for example these things, for example, what I am doing, why are you doing this? Why am I doing this? How effective is it? And how are students responding to me? If they are responding in a kind of negative, so I have to stop and try other things. And of course, another also questions: how can I do it, the teaching better, in a better way, if I find some things that are not good, or things are not to stop, and there is nothing bad to go back again and fix things. That's why I started talking about activities like club activities. They can go in a parallel with the teaching or the class teaching. For example, if the students didn't get things in the class as the lesson like this, maybe in a club we can do it as a game. Or learning by doing. They can just move around the class, go discover some places, go in a field trip, this is very important to try something new, to bring something new or go from your students beyond the classroom, especially using the technology, because this is their time. These kids of today, they are using technology, and it's up to us as teachers to go down to them and try to make us okay, not as a teacher, but just a monitor. Try to help. Give them just what's the topic, the thing, the necessary, the skill, and let's discover with them how can they learn them. And you are there to fix, to monitor, to not to say what is wrong. Maybe we knew things new with our, we discover our new or our methodologies in the kids, especially because the mentalities of the kids, it's not it's flexible. It's changing all the time according to the time, which means the methodologies and the approaches, the teaching approaches of in the past are no more the same, which is of today. Which means what we learned as teachers in training centers and so, maybe there are other things, and technology is a part of it. But not just the technology, there are other things that maybe of kind can we reflect. Okay, the teaching is reflected on how is on the feed on the outputs that comes from the kid or the learner. I hope you got my idea.
Thank you, Clara, for joining and describe your details idea. In this stage, I would like to, Laila Jacob, please unmute your microphone. I have a question. What are the characteristics of the reflective teaching?
Very good evening to one and all.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, I did not get your question.
What are the characteristics of reflective teaching? Just character.
Right, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So, good evening to one and all present over here. The thing is that before I go deeply into the topic, reflective teaching, I would like to get your attention on a very small story which I have got in the morning from one of my friends. Why the pilot goes to heaven? This is a topic I have got in the morning, which made me to think about reflective teaching. You may think why I am telling this story, because this is not the story time. I know it very well, but this story has already made me to think how our teaching can be reflective, more effective. So the pilot, after his death, he was standing in queue to reach heaven. He was a very handsome man, very well groomed and very smart. He went to God. Then God asked him, what was your work? He said, I was a pilot. What did you do? I took the people and then I helped them to reach their destination. Then after that, God said, okay, this is your reward. You have already completed your work. You performed very nicely. God has already given him a gold crown, a gold crown. Then there comes the turn of a priest. We know very well that the priest leads a very pious life. He always guides the devotees or the ordinary persons also to go nearer to God. So he thought that if the pilot had already got a golden crown, I would be getting a better one. You may think that besides God, what else valuable thing will be there? God asked him, what was your work? I performed my work as a priest. Do you think that you performed your work very well? He was quite confident, just like the some of the teachers. I am really very good. I do my work very perfectly. I write my lesson plans. I follow the protocol. I am going to the class on time. I complete my syllabus on time. I conduct the test. No. God told him, you take this cloth crown. You see the difference over here. The pilot who had already taken the people and made them to reach the destination, God had already given him a gold crown. And for this priest who was already making the people to go closer to God, God had already given him a cloth robe. The priest was getting annoyed very badly. He asked the question, this is not fair. We listen this particular word in our classroom also. Miss, this is not fair. He is your pet. You are showing partiality. So the priest also asked God, why do you do so? What is the reason why you have given him the gold crown? And I have done a beautiful work, very pious work. You have not accepted me, identified me. You did not recognize me. It is pinching my heart. I came to heaven to get the gold crown. God said, results, my dear son. It is not it is performance, not position that counts. So on the basis of this particular story, I would like to ponder on today's topic, reflective teaching. I am Laila Jacob from India. So results, it is performance, it's not position that counts. What is reflective teaching? We have already come to know from eminent panelists who had already spoken very nicely about all the things which will be coming in reflective teaching. I do agree with them. Then once again, I would like to ponder on what is reflective teaching. Reflective teaching or reflection is a form of mental processing that we use to achieve some anticipated outcome. Outcome anticipated. What is that outcome anticipated after teaching, after delivering that particular concept or content to the students? Who are the partakers of our lecture? The partakers, the main partakers of our lecture are our beautiful students with a very good skill, with a very brilliant mind, who is ready to receive whatever the teacher is telling. Somebody was telling that 19th century, 20th century, 21st century, we are already marching towards faster and faster. Digital world has already come. The mobile is in our hand. Nothing is impossible for us. But are we reflecting whatever we are saying, whatever we are doing, why we are doing? That they were almost very compulsory. Of all the branches, 18 branches, we are already having one of the international schools in Lucknow. I was one of the inspectors over there. So we were using the feedback form without seeing, without the partiality, showing any partiality. We were asked to fill up what you had observed in the class, what you had observed in the written work given by the teachers. You believe me or not, now I think that some cases I was really very rude. I should not be, but I was really rude. Rude in the sense I was sincere to my duty. The management was giving the salary to me to become the inspectors, not to make anybody to be pleased. So I have to be sincere to my duty. I did it. Some teachers might have become very much annoyed with me. So I am not bothering about that. Feedback, follow-up, these things play an important role. So whenever we teach something, what are we teaching? Why do we teach? And what are the impacts, or what do they carry from the classroom out of the classroom? Whether they are able to reflect when they are in their home, just like Wordsworth has already told in that Solitary Reaper, in my pensive mode, I listen.
Assalamualaikum.
Hello, Nadia Ivanova. Welcome to our country. Hello.
Hello, nice to see you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to our our new guest, Nadia Ivanova.
Hello, Nadia.
Laila, if you are able, then continue your space, Laila. Hello, Laila.
Okay. No problem, ma'am. I know that because Zoom problem, even though it is one of the best. No. Also, I was telling about whatever we teach, what are the impacts, what do the children carry from the classroom to their home, whether we are making them to think whenever they are in their passive mode, whenever they are in their pensive mode. So how can we ensure that reflective teaching we are already doing? Just like Patricia ma'am has already told so many points that she has already touched. Especially, I can tell that the teacher should keep a diary where she will be observing the different types of children. All heterogeneous class she will be having, not a homogeneous class at all. Heterogeneous class means some mediocres will be there, below average children will be there, brilliant children will be there, and prodigies also will be there, just like Shakespeare or Albert Einstein. So diary has to be kept by the teacher. In that diary, as soon as the class gets over, a good teacher will record whatever she has observed in the classroom, why that particular student was not able to give my question, why he was disturbing the class. Second point, the good teacher will always pay attention to the peer. Peer here means the person who is able to become the mentor, the person who is able to correct, a person who is able to give some suggestions. But the teacher should be receptive. That's what I told. When I was inspector, I was really reluctant to please anybody. I was quite pleasing my management by doing my sincere work. So the peer should also think that if I tell my teacher this, whether she is going to accept it or not. So if she is going to accept it or not, I have to tell that these are the drawbacks. If you do correction in that, you can become an effective teacher. Then after that diary and this peer work, we can already think that the person should be able to record the data. Record the data means how many students are able to give the answers, how many students were not able to. All this collection of data also will play an important role. And more than that, the best thing we can say, because in my school, I was academic director when I was teaching in Chennai. That time, we were asking the students how the class was. Whenever we were conducting the interviews, demo classes, we were asking the children, even though we were observing the teacher's performance, but we asked the children whether you were able to understand, whether the lecture was delivered in the proper way, it was already been receptive, understood by you or not. Children are the powerful observers. We should not underestimate them. So we should get the feedback from the students. And so also teacher guardian visit by the teachers will enable the teacher to get the proper feedback from the guardians or the parents. Parents will tell that my student is not able to understand mathematics, the teacher is not teaching properly. Therefore, the teacher guardian should go and tell that matter secretly to the concerned managing authority. There also I will tell that no discrimination, no partiality should be there. We have to be very, very responsible for the work which we have been allotted to. Last but not the least, I will say that it is a cyclical process. Why it is a cyclical process? Reflective teaching is a cyclical process because collecting, recording, analyzing, and the teachers' thoughts and observations, as well as those of their students and the parents, then it is going to make a wonderful change. It will enhance personal, professional development and improvement. So self-realization, self-evaluation, self-awareness, self-check, these are the things we have to adopt if we want to become an effective teacher. I wish those who are the teachers, those who are the educators, kindly follow this pattern so that we will be able to bring the most effective form of teaching, and we will be able to reach the students in such a manner that we can be called rightly the architects of the tomorrow, where we are already shaping the future citizens. And we believe that a destiny of a nation is being shaped in the classroom. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Laila Jacob, for your insightful and elaborate discussions about our topic. In this stage, I would like to Shailesh Sherista sir. Are you there? Hello.
Yeah, listening.
Okay.
It's a wonderful experience, and it's really a great speeches. I don't want to say much more, but I think the reflective teaching is not just a teaching, because we are not a teacher, we are more facilitator. We are going to provide the facility where with the experiences student can learn. I mean, if a student can learn the way we teach, we have to teach them the way they can learn. Okay, and there are a lot of reflections. There are peer observations, student feedback, student achievements, video recording, checking the list, introspection. But we need the reflection of the teaching can explain us whether the teaching is child-centered or a teacher-centered. If I prepare my lesson in a lesson plan a day before, and while I'm going to explain, even I'm going to show them PowerPoint presentation during the teaching, if they are not giving attention, because on the outside of the class, on the outside, if there is rain, it is not mean that I'm not preparing my lesson. I need to focus on my teaching. At that particular time when I'm teaching them, out there just watching outside the window because the rain is going there. So they want to just go and enjoy the rain. So I have to stop the teaching, and I have to go with the student on the ground. That is the thing which actually tells us whether this is a child-centered education or not. This is all about the facility. It is not just about teaching, it is also learning. So we need to create the situation, we need to say some of the situation where student can learn. So we are not going to teach them, we are going to create a situation, we are going to create something, we are going to provide them facilities so that they can learn with their own. That's it. We have already covered a lot of topics by our honorable speakers, and they had been presenting this so nicely. Thanks to everyone, especially Mumtaz. You have been doing a great job. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Shailesh Sherista sir. In this stage, I would like to Nadia, please unmute your phone. We want to hear you, Nadia. Are you there? Okay, she's not available. Patricia, please, you summarized the discussions of our negotiators about our topics. Unmute your microphone, please, Patricia. Unmute your microphone.
Yes. Yes. What were you saying, please? I haven't heard correctly.
Okay, just you summarized the discussions of our overall discussion. Overall discussion.
Well, I'm having sound problems. I cannot hear properly. Can you listen to me properly?
Okay.
Yes?
You
Now it's
summarize,
better.
you summarize the discussions of our negotiations, so just overall discussions. Summarize to just.
Some of what we have just discussed, this is what you mean, to
Yeah.
sum up what we have, well, now, yes, we have been talking about reflexive teaching from different viewpoints. I think that it has been very, very enriching because we have been able to see it from different viewpoints. So, as I said before, I think that learning, reflective learning deserves another special session because teaching and learning form a binomial. They are inseparable. But anyway, today, the time has been devoted to discussing about reflective teaching. And one element that we have not said anything yet is connected with the question, how global I am today, because we are in the 21st century and it should be part of our reflection. Are we really a global teacher? What am I doing in order to be global? It is important today to be an international teacher and transform the classroom into a global space. Why? Because we do not restrict teaching and learning to the walls of the classroom. We should go beyond its walls. Why? Because today the world is connected through technology. And of course, that technology is present in the classroom and it is very important. Remember that technology should be considered as another tool, like any other, like drama or like games. But it is an important component because thanks to technology, we are connected. When students are connected in the classroom, they have the opportunity to know or to discover different cultures, different costumes, and different ways of life. In this way, they expand their knowledge and they increase their creative thinking. Because when we encourage them to reflect on what they have discovered around the world, well, at the same time, we are encouraging them to think freely, to make decisions, to make an argument, etc. And this is great because now, for example, we can use learning based on projects. And when we give a project to our students, that the ideas or the content that may be considered won't be restricted to the classroom. It goes much beyond. So I think that it is enriching, very enriching. And I think it is an aspect of our reflective teaching that should be taken into account, how global we are. And we need to be like that because we are in the 21st century and we need to take into account the 5 basic competencies the student should develop in the classroom. And one way of developing these 5 competencies is through being global. And when we are global, we are encouraging our students to become global. And I think this today is essential.
Thank you.
I don't know if you agree with me.
Thank you, everyone. And if anyone wants to say something, please, you can say it. Anyone wants to say something about our topics?
After Patricia nicely sum up that, I realized one thing, that before sleeping every night, we must ask ourselves, are you creative? Are you having the excellence and creativity? Are you the teacher that student expecting? Are you the teacher they need? I think this is the question we must ask before sleeping. Are you excellent enough and creative in your field? I think you will get the reflection. So we are expecting a great day ahead after the dark night.
Yes, you're right. And I think that the best way of observing our own teaching, if we have the possibility of being students of our own classes when we are delivering a lesson. That would be great because we would be excellent observers of our own teaching. But of course, that is impossible and it's part of magic. But I think that that would be the best way, being part as a student of our own classes. But imagination, you know, has no limits. So it is a way of encouraging our colleagues and our students to improve their critical thinking, your creative thinking, as you have mentioned. This is another critical question that we need to ask. How creative we are in the classroom? The creativity is one of the basic competencies that students should develop in the 21st century. So it's very important what you have said, Sheila. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And anyone wants to say something, please? Pauline?
Yeah.
Pauline, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I am here.
Have you any questions of our negotiations?
No, sir. No, ma'am, I don't have any questions.
Okay. You can just introduce yourself, Pauline. Hello, Pauline.
Okay, ma'am, I will introduce myself. Okay, my name is Muksab Tahi Pauline. I'm from Bangladesh and I study in grade 6 at the age of 10, and the name of my school is Islamia Government Boys High School, and that's all about me.
Thank you, Pauline. Pauline is our little champ in Bangladesh. And anybody wants to say something?
One more request which I have. It is a very nice conversation that we have, but we are less than 25 participants. I'm just thinking about my other partners, other teachers in my country. So it will be great if you provide and just viral the video clip of the conversation. It is really going to help the opinion of all the respective members, yours, Patricia ma'am, especially Sagrika ma'am, as the way they explain, it is a great learning. And I'm just thinking about my other teachers. They can't hear. They are not here in this conversation. But if you can viral this video, it will really help to all the teachers around the globe. Isn't it?
Thank you, Shailesh sir.
Yeah,
Monirul Islam sir, are you there? Monirul Islam sir, are you there?
Yes.
Just introduce yourself and have.
I listen your space. So always listening your space. Any speaking.
He's just a listener. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And anybody wants to say something? Otherwise, now we need to finish.
Yeah, I think the discussion was good, and we always look forward to good topics. Your selection of topics is also very good. So it really intrigues me to come back every Tuesday on the platform to discuss it. And that's also a lot of reflection into my own learning while I put points forth over here on the platform. It's a lot of reflection while doing this, you know.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Gratitude to all for being here. And it's a good deliberation, and let's continue this roundtable every time. So we come up with new topics, new points, and we can help the whole education society. As Mr. Shailesh just says, he rightly said that let this video go to the other teachers also. You know, it's very important that they also learn. See, what's the point of we discussing if we can't pass on this knowledge to someone else? So I think you can put this through all social medias and let the others also get the benefit of these recordings, the deliberations that we have here. Very important.
Thank you, Sagarika, Patricia, Irina, Nadia, Monirul Islam sir, Pauline, and Laila Jacob, and Bushar is Laila Shamsuddin sir. Some things needs to be said before concluding. I'm very grateful for your long time with me to help me make the program a success. I have learned a lot from your long and valuable discussions, and I have tried to enrich myself always. enrich myself. I hope the audience will also benefit from today's program and will use it successfully in their work and work-oriented life. I will try to strengthen our education system by capturing the content of your discussions and play a helpful role in the quality of education. I wish everyone well. The world epidemic COVID-19 has taken a different form, so we will all be careful from our different place. Thanks again for being with me. Hope to see you next week and different topic and our new guest and also on all of you. I am ending here by thanking everyone again. Thanks to all. See you next week.
Thank you. It has been very enriching.
Thank you. Yes,
Bye-bye.
very interesting. Bye-bye. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.
Take care,
Stay safe.
everyone. Stay safe. Thank you. And I really grateful all of you. Thank you. Hopefully I will stay. I will get to all of you in future time. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Most welcome. Thank